Kia ora, welcome back to Hamiora Brothers.
Kia ora whānau. We're going to talk a little bit about developmental movement, so from birth to our young age, 0 to 2,
Even 5,
and even upwards of there. The kind of key ideas around how we develop as we develop quite organically, naturally. That natural.
The natural ingrained blueprint.
Correct. Yeah.
The baby knows how to move, right?
Yeah, how to strengthen itself for its head, to stabilise, to lead it to walking, then from walking to the wonderful malleability of our joints. Notice how how kids pick up and squat down to pick things up beautifully and perfectly, and then even down to their instincts to move, which you'll notice, from kids just they run everywhere. The intelligence, notice the intelligence of their feet and their hands.
The dexterity in their big toes.
They experiment a lot. They learn super quick.
Their ability to bend and twist their bodies and not break. Anyway, we'll hand over to Fraser to introduce this concept here, because we know this is a big interest of yours, bro.
It is. It helped me a lot when I was diagnosed with a spinal disorder called Sherman's disease, and then after 3 physios and a chiropractor, I got referred to this boss musculoskeletal specialist, and he had learned a lot about developmental movement and how the way you move as a baby kind of sets they call it dynamic neuromuscular stabilization of the body. It teaches the nervous system how the body works as a whole. From day dot, you're placed on your belly, you're learning how to move, learning how to function. The first thing you gain control of is your neck. So you start to look up to find mum. And that's where you create the cervical flexor in your spine. So the way that you start moving during your developmental periods actually sets the body in its right posture. You start to figure out alignment, you start to get control of how each part of the body works. From the neck, it then goes out down to your shoulder girdle and your arms. You start to learn how to, oh, wait a minute, these things are actually, I can control them. I start to grip things. Then you're starting to learn how to push and roll around. You start getting control of your core, finally the legs, and then when you're lying on your back in that kind of dead bug position, that's when you're starting to, get contralateral movement, or
Side to side.
right arm, left legs working together, vice versa. It's funny, one of the first things the doctor that taught me, he was getting his fingers and placed them just beside my belly button, getting me to breathe in and feel pressure with the breath. So this is at age 13, having a lot of pain in my mid-back and lower back, and he was trying to get me to learn how to create pressure with the breath, breathe properly, how you breathe from a young age, to naturally decompress the spine and get into the optimal posture. And it's something that we lose when you start sitting for a long period of time. It's interesting, man. It's especially as you progress up into you're lying on your back, you've learnt to roll over from the stomach onto the back, and then you start to figure out how to stand up. The transition from lying on your belly to getting the knees up, getting one hand up to support your body weight, or getting up onto your elbow, kind of like that side plank position from the roll. All of those positions are very vital pieces of setting your shoulder girdle in the right position and getting your left latissimus working with your right hip. And then you start to learn how to stand up. You're walking side to side, right arm swings forward as left arm swings back. It all just starts to happen naturally. And I think for someone that hasn't trained or done any exercises in a long time, first place you start is like, get good at the stuff you did as a baby.
Developmental movement. Absolutely. I can see some use there. Connecting with the postural muscles.
Just relearning again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just going back to being a child and then come back through again.
Absolutely, develop the competency at the developmental stuff, and then move into the.
Yeah.
What were the 7 fundamental movements we're talking? Lunges.
So lunge, squat, push, pull, twist.
Yes.
Is gait one?
I suppose lunge.
I don't know if gait is considered one, but it's important.
Well, what we need to understand is that as a human, the way that we've developed, our body is effectively designed for throwing, for running, and then to be able to stabilize our spine over our hips to do our work, right? Like squatting, like bending.
Yeah.
That's basically what we are designed to do. So people call them, we can call them human movement or paleo movement, but that's basically what we are designed to do. But we are nature's. Everyone talks about, humans, we're the world's best marathon runners. It's like, yes and no, right? Africans are, because they have really long limbs and they are developed on the savannah to go over these extreme distances.
They've evolved biomechanically
Correct.
to be efficient.
We're efficient at running.
Yeah.
And many of us all humans are designed for running, some more so than others. There's no doubt about that.
I was thinking about this last night. How in a lot of training circles or rehabilitation circles, they talk about proximal stability versus distal mobility. So proximal is the center of your body. It's in close proximity to the midline or center of the body. So before you start doing anything too far out with the hands and the feet, you gain proximal stability, and then that progresses onto distal mobility, being able to have full range of motion in the shoulder, the arms, the fingers, etc. Then it got me thinking, is like, what is the most proximal thing? The center of the body. It's how you breathe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of validity there. Absolutely. Also, we are a kind of we're an intertransmitting animal. When I squeeze my hand, this action here creates force in my forearm, and there are mechanisms in my shoulder realized. So we are kind of there's a duality of transmission. So intelligence here correlates to our extremities, but also intelligence at the extremities correlates, feedback to our center. We touched on feet before. The same thing is of the a huge amount of our issues in our feet come from weak bum. But strengthening our feet makes our bum smarter, right? So there are these interesting interrelations.
No doubt.
But from a developmental perspective, absolutely. What are we designed to do? We need to be rational about what we are. We're animals, and we're designed for certain things. Yes, absolutely.
Climbing, running, throwing, hunting.
Correct. Swimming is debatably a bit of it's an interesting one,
Yeah.
It's debatably a bit of an evolution and not a comparative advantage. It's not, but we've learned to do it. But yeah, absolutely. Climbing, if we look at cultures through there, for example, there's a tribe in Papua New Guinea who have their houses in high tree huts, and they have to, even up into old age, they climb to their huts daily. The Pacific Islands, they've been learning how. They've been climbing. They're not small people. They've been climbing for coconuts since forever. Then we can even go on to
they get their feet knees wide and they're
boom.
Gripped into the tree.
Adductors.
Yeah. And then we can even move over to the some of the African tribes in which the strategy was to stalk animals through exhausting. So by running.
We're not the fastest animal, but we can outlast.
Yes. Yeah. And also we are nature's most accurate thrower. Another random little
nothing else has that range of motion through the shoulder girdle.
That little shoulder blade we have, and our dexterity in our hand. We are nature's most accurate thrower. And what do we develop that for? Well, throwing rocks and spears at things to kill it or to fight it. There is definitely logic there.
What would you say the most debilitating things for our developmental movement would be?
School.
The way we teach them. Sit down.
Correct. So the moment you hit school, you start spending 5 hours a day sitting. That is the largest degeneration. Number 2, school uniform often involves shoes. Why are we putting shoes on kids? They can put shoes if it's cold.
Oh, those hard clog-like
It's just
shoes
stupid.
as well,
Yeah.
black ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to cause.
Yeah.
It still makes sense for protection and for warmth. Surely we make a better a shoe that looks like a foot. Yeah, gloves look like a
Yeah,
hand.
we got those here, right? We got those, but yeah,
It's not
because
But they're not cool.
because
Yeah,
because
cool.
because school was developed for factory workers.
Mm.
School was developed to train people to work in factories. So what do they wear? They look like they wear shoes for factory work.
Yeah.
It is
We're just one
the
steel
uniform.
cap less.
the uniform. It looks like factory workers' clothes. Like there is a tarnish of like times past on our uniform and even our education structure. That much I believe. But for developmental movement, kids need more play. Don't get angry at your kids because they're hypo. You're feeding them crap food and you're not letting them move enough. Okay, that's simply the truth. And you have no energy.
Yeah.
Or understand that and allow them to utilize it, or you need to participate because obviously, you know, your energy or vibration cannot keep up with the young ones. They need to move, let them move. But yeah, for school I think has a lot of degenerative, not for any lack of want of good from the education system.
Screens, man.
Oh
An
yes,
iPad, a
Which one?
TV,
Yeah.
a laptop.
that probably
From a
is
younger age,
Yeah.
you've got a phone. It's like
I've got a controversial one for development.
sleep.
Um,
Oh, okay.
For when you
Yes.
chuck a kid in those walkers,
mm-hmm.
those little sort of spaceman walker
yes,
things.
yes.
You're forcing them to stand up before they're ready to actually
Yes.
be in that position. The best thing that you can do is not rush your children into walking or talking or anything like
Yes.
that. You've got to let them develop in their own time.
Yeah, they've actually got to figure out how to stabilise that head.
Yeah, there's no need for
Yeah.
a competition with other children. It doesn't mean that they're any worse off than the other kids. It just means that they're better at...
Yeah.
I think that's more people wanting a cheap babysitter.
Yeah.
Chuck it in
He's
the
lazy.
little, chuck it in the little armoured cot.
Or the jumpers, jolly jumpers.
Oh,
They're good, but not too long. Don't
Yeah.
let them stay in
Yeah.
for 2
Yeah,
hours.
you don't want that to
non-stop.
be the babysitter.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Just a bit of fun.
yeah.
Get
You
some
run, just get
development.
them lie on the ground, roll around.
Yes,
Like, that's the best thing you can get them doing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they'll get there.
Yeah.
They'll learn all their movement patterns better if they figure it out themselves rather than
Yes.
forcing them.
Also the disparity. So again, I believe this is another social construct that physical activity and development is not adding to our mental development. Yeah, the tinana with the upoko. Your body is a brain, and the intelligence in your movement will become realized as intelligence. Okay, so
No doubt.
classroom constructs of intellect in your book, those are not
Yeah.
just intelligence. Physical development is going to play a huge role. Development later.
Yeah.
Devices are not. Devices are stimulant orientated. They reduce the brain's capacity to interpret outside of that, and it's also going to decrease activity time. Yeah, our kids need activity, and the more the better. So yeah, those are my concerns with developmental movement.
Yeah.
You're right. I think devices hugely. I think the general construct of school, our disparity between understanding that physical activity is not smart for our mental development.
Yeah.
I'm-
Mind
I'm-
is body.
Correct.
Body
Mind
is
is body.
mind.
I'm talking as someone who did no homework, who played a lot and did fine in school. You know,
Yeah.
and I think that even further forward, I could have done with more. Not even doubting that.
I think my best years in school were the years where we spent more time outside playing
Yes.
soccer than we actually did in the classroom.
Bang on.
Somehow we just managed
Yes.
to pick up the information faster because we're moving and we're having a break. And
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
We also have science to back this up now. How after post exercise, about 5 minutes after, the improved regulation of our heart rate and the ability of oxygen and blood flow to our brain or focus does improve post exercise. So there's a lot to be said. You want your kids to focus, get them outside for a minute. You're a teacher, the best way to start off a period would be to get those kids outside running. You need something they can all do. And make it effort based. Don't make it performance based. Effort. You get someone hooked on the ability to do well from an effort perspective, the performance comes in.
No doubt.
Yeah, you've got to learn for the joy of the experience rather than aiming for that special little goal or that competition. Because once you win that competition, the joy is gone. It's very fleeting.
Anything else we want to leave there for an introduction to the developmental movement there, Fraser?
Yeah, it's the importance of play.
Yep.
And like, it's scientifically proven, the more fun you're having when you're doing a task, the more likely you are to remember it
Yes.
and create a habit out of it. So
Adults too.
yeah,
Play is not
don't
children
forget,
specific.
Yeah.
this, this is the blueprint of human movement and
Yes.
human function.
Yes.
And it's actually like, if you don't give your baby or small child a chance to move through these progressions of developmental movement, then you're really hampering their life in the future.
And while we do think of development as being the childhood years, it doesn't matter if you're 5, 40 or 80, you're still developing. If you're not developing, you're regressing.
Correct.
Go forward or go backwards. There's no neutral. You can't stay still.
Don't be stagnant.
Yeah.
Sure. You're starting to atrophy all the way. Keep learning, keep moving, keep growing.
Yeah.
The body's a brain. Smarter your body, smarter your brain. Smarter your brain, use that intelligence for your body. And then the puku, what you put in that stomach, that is part of the brain as well. Those are the 3 brains. The other brain we don't really experience in an observational physical capacity. That's the energistic system around it. But those are the brains. The body is a brain. It's an intelligent entity. So work that.
I was just going to say how the brain is connected to the spinal cord. The spinal cord displays out all the nerves to the ends of the body, the toes, the fingers. If you get the body moving in as many different, patterns as possible, it's so good for the brain. It's sending all these messages.
It's sensory feedback, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Developmental movement.
Developmental movement, part 1. Sure. We'll move on.